Good afternoon. It's August 10th, 2023, and today we had I guess you would call it a range day, but on the daily chart you can see it's pretty bearish doji. Um, so I would say it was a bearish day. I mean, this sell-off, I think something I want to keep in mind after looking at this, as I was looking through this, I had a super bearish feel as I was looking through this, but you got to take into consideration these lows. So, you know, yeah, we broke beneath those lows, but we're still close to them. So it's the day overall isn't yet super bearish. So when we're trading on both sides of the EMA all the way down here, it's not really a strong downtrend. So I saw a lot of traps in here, and that's why um, I wanted to point that out to myself. Uh, this is also a pretty high volume day, and unfortunately, I wasn't able to watch it unfold. I was watching it up till here, then I had to leave, so I came back to all this, and yeah, this is a very high volume day and pretty worth studying. Is what I should say. I mean, it's all worth studying, but I wanted to point something out that happened in the overnight. I woke up pretty early today, so I saw it happen. We had this channel up. You get an overshoot that leads to a break, and we had a channel within that. And what happens here is we're coming off these off this trend channel, but I mean, there's reason to believe that we might still make a high. Um, but regardless, let's say we're just in this downtrend. You can see we get this first entry because I'm looking at this as a like a double top, this congestion up here. First entry, second entry, that so failed second entry long basically. But this is clearly a channel and probably a level of support. So when we get this inside bar right here, in my opinion, that looks like a lot of bears are going to exit. And so, there's not a lot of room back to the EMA, but you could, I just watched that trap unfold, and just something to think about and keep in mind. So 5 o'clock comes in right here, and then we get the break of this channel, and you get this second entry short, but it's right before the news item. So I don't think you can take that. I'm not sure if it would have worked if you did, or if they stopped you out. Um, but yeah, you can see we went crazy from the news item, and that's how we formed our overnight highs and lows. And the opening price turned out to be right at that midline. So you get this range. Unfortunately, no setups to go short here. And that's a really nice move down. I mean, technically, you could look at this as a failure. Um, Failed second entry long, but it doesn't really look like it to me because this looks like a double top. Anyway, we come down here, and at that point, I was looking at this as a range. I mean, this midline looks pretty clear. This looks like one leg down. This and break and move to a new low. But this in itself is probably a channel down. So um, I like this higher low. I also liked it because it looked like a trap. You see that's off the trend line. Yeah, and this is another reason this was, I could see this being confusing. That could be an overshoot too. So you get the higher low. I like that to go back to the EMA. And it turns out to be a nice, you would have gotten a nice runner out of that. Then you get the failure right here. This one's in no man's land though after a break, so that's pretty aggressive, but I liked it with all that momentum. and you get a break, move to a new high, and then we make two legs down to the opening price, and then you get this congestion super bullish bar. I don't think you can take that, but I mean, if you zoom in, I think technically you could argue for it to be a double test, so I don't think you want to take that. Maybe you do. Uh, turns out this is a channel, and you get a first entry failed, second entry short, confirming that trend line. I like it to just test these highs, and that's exactly where we go. And you get a break, and you get this double test with a new high. So, I mean, the fact that you make a new high is a little unsettling, but we also made a new low, and I think there's room back to the EMA here, so it's close, and that's probably why I marked it aggressive. But then we come back and test this level again, and that's a lower high with this time plenty of room back to the EMA, so I like that one. And then we go a little lower and bounce, and you get a really nice move up. And honestly, I mean, this is a two-legged pullback to the EMA, so maybe you take that, but it's really a third entry. And this kind of looks like a higher low. Really nice move up here. You can see that break and move to a new high. No real good way to get in on this, unfortunately. And then we start trending down. And it's a tough call here because this is a really, really good move up. And maybe there's a larger channel. Yeah, there looks like there's a larger channel working up here. And that makes this one, before I would probably give this like a 7 out of 10, but now I'd probably make this like an 8.5 out of 10. That looks pretty good. Confirms that trend line. So anyway, we now have a break of this channel. We never got a new high, so that's something to think about. So it's probably not, I mean, we get confirmation of it, but I don't know. A lot of people probably weren't playing it, is what it is. Anyway, come down here. We get confirmation of the channel here. Technically, this is a failure, but it's above the EMA. I was looking at this potential range here in pink. Turns out I don't think anyone was really playing it, probably because this looks like a move down and stuff, but I don't think you can go short yet on this one. But to me, you get this second entry short right here that also looks like a failure. Technically, this is the failure because we ticked higher here, but this looks like the failure. So I really like this trade in real time. Unfortunately, no runners at all. I think, what did this go for? Like five ticks exactly, I think. 38.75 to, yeah. So you get out of this one by the hair of your chin. They stop out any runners, and then that's the high for the day. So that's a tough one. But I think you could consider this one on the double test. I just think I'd be a little more skeptical because we have a double test on the low side too, or a potential double test. Anyway, we come down here. First entry, second entry. You couldn't ask for a more perfect entry. This is just such a clear trend. So again, you only get a scalp, maybe like a couple points out of a runner. They take out the stops, and then that's the high of the day, or the high of the day. All right, so we have a break. First entry, second entry. Already it looked congested. Um, and if you were looking at this larger channel, we don't have a high yet, a new high. And this is above the EMA, so I wasn't crazy about that, but you would have had a runner on this, and that'd be the high of the day. So, um, first entry, second entry. I'm not sure. I don't think you can take this. Maybe if you have room to this high, but look, you can see it bounced, and that's why you got to be a little nervous about that. Maybe you take this lower high. You could really look at this as like a failure, and you get this lower high. Like these are all aggressive, but I could understand why people would uh, try and take them, I guess. You get a second entry here. I didn't see that. I'm going to mark this aggressive because it looks like a pretty strong move up. And I mean, really, it's because it worked. It's probably like this, but you don't know that in real time. So maybe you take that. Lower high, no good. And we bounce, so that's probably two measured legs right there. Actually, the second one looks a longer, yeah. Come up here, first entry, second entry. That's tempting, and I got to mark this one red. I like these. Once it gives you that, it looks like a matching high. 26.75. 26.75. That matching high, that much space back to the EMA. It looks like we have two measured legs. I think you got to take that. That turns out to be a good move. 24. You could easily get a 7-point runner. I think. Let's see. You would enter 24.50, let's say. 23.75. So unless they, yeah, I mean, maybe they stopped out your runner right there. I don't know, but it's a good move no matter what. So here we see a really nice trap set up. I guess here's what I'll say is we bounced at the midline. Maybe you want to be careful about that. We do have a break and a move to a new low from this channel. Maybe there's reason to be careful about that. We have this swing on the high side of the EMA. We have this swing. That's strong buying. So this is a range here. So this one's a tough call. But yeah, this is a range. We have a breakout to the low side. Hitting that measure move, also hitting the midline of the larger range, but you wouldn't have that, or the midline of the channel, but you wouldn't have that channel by then. So it hits the measure move. So yeah, maybe, I mean, look at that. Maybe you say, well, we didn't hit the measure move to this side, and then it goes, that's exactly where it goes. But this range is harder to draw in real time. This is not a clear-cut range. A lot of these are, but this one, I don't even remember how I got the highs. I think I just went down here, dragged it up to here. And that does make sense because that's where the most overlap occurs. But who's to say that you don't start, here? Because that looks accurate too. But, at the end, it does look like this is it. So that's a tough trap, that second entry short. However, That's too, that's actually, you're going straight into this midline. So you're going straight into the midline, and the context overall, like I said, this is looking like a range day at this point, and we had some strong buying coming in. So I mean, you do have to be careful. Okay, so chop down, go below the measured move, so it's probably not valid anymore. You do get a double test down here, but not a lot of room back to the EMA, and a lot of congestion right there. Buying comes back. I don't think you want to take this failure. We just had all this congestion over here. That's exactly what this is too. It's just more congestion. And we, one leg up, sideways, second leg up, bullish bar. That doesn't give us confirmation of this trend line, but it helps us. So you have two touches on this side, and then you have two touches on the midline. You'd probably have your midline as your level of support at that point. Super strong move down. I don't think you can take that. There's no real evidence that says we won't bounce down here. Slight overshoot, then we go sideways, and you get a break, and that's a second entry short. I don't think you can take that. Too much congestion there. You can see that this, basically some buyers came back at the level of previous resistance or support. You can see that. So that would make me hesitant. If that finished better, I would take it, or at least I would think about it. Come down here, make a new low. We go sideways. There's that double test in the sideways action again that we just saw right here. Doesn't look as nice here though. First entry, second entry. So I'm sure this gets you a scalp, but 99.50. So that gets you exactly a scalp. But I mean, let's draw this. I'd probably draw this probably from here. Yeah, like you're going right into that midline. That's clear. This is what gives me confidence right there. That closes right at that midline. So they just trapped all these people. People who had their profit target at the bottom of this range, boom, they stop them out, and then they go exactly where those people thought it was going. So the very educational traps right here with this one and this one up here. So you come down, first entry, failed second entry, but you're right in the middle of this range. I don't think you want to take that. Let me delete this. So just more sideways stuff because of this range, trapping longs, lower high. It's also a second entry short, but I think you just got to play the range. Breaks out to the low side. That's the first break beneath overnight lows. And there's nothing in here. If you took this reversal, well, they trapped you and took it exactly where you thought it was going to go. But I mean, it wouldn't have broken above that entry until here. I think this is a triple top. So high 97.25, 97.25, 97.25. Yeah, so that's a triple top. So that's another reason to be hesitant. Don't take reversals in congestion. Breaks out to the high side and then big sell off. I don't think you can jump in on that. And we come down here and man, that's tempting. It's really tempting to go long right there. That's a second entry long, but you know, so you're risking almost 3 points on that. I don't know. It's tough. You get this higher low, but at that point, I see some dojis in here, and that one doesn't. Has a lot of stem. I don't like it. So this is a range, but this is probably related to this. Yeah, you can see that midline right there. So chopping down, let's see, now we're going lower. Looks like a channel, but it's kind of weak. Then we get a touch off this support. All this buying comes in. All this buying comes in, and then we hit the wall of resistance right here. You get a first entry, second entry. I think if you're reading this right, go ahead and take that. But there's some dojis in there. 3 dojis. 3 dojis, and that looks like this trap right here. So sellers beware. You can see the sellers won this one dramatically because these buyers had to exit though. Anyway, we come down here and we start making a series of higher lows. You know, maybe again, I mean, these longs are tempting, but we're just making new lows. So, I mean, yeah, maybe you take this one. You know, but you got to be careful. That's also, I looked at this as a double bottom, but that would make this a third entry. So I don't know. It looks like a reversal, but I can't mark it. Strong move up. We get a break. 1 leg back, 2 legs of correction, and then the second leg of correction, or second leg back, second leg of correction. Hopefully you can see that. Let me just draw this. I'm really going in on the analysis today. So those are the 2 legs. I don't think there's any shorts in here. Double bottom after the break, and then you get a, so let's zoom in on this. This is really complicated, and I wouldn't take this entry, but you get a first entry, and I'm sure I would guess that this ticked higher, then trapped all those people, and then went higher. So that's a failure right there. So maybe you jump in on that. Come back, hit the level of resistance, sells off. First entry, second entry, they trap all these shorts. Boom. Then you get this lower high. So maybe take that. That forms this spike down into this channel here. No entries in there, and then you're just at the end of the day. So that's a lot of analysis. It's probably the longest one I've done in a while. But yeah, I think you really want to take a long look at this day, come back to it, learn from the traps. Yeah, so that's it. I'll be back tomorrow.